What you are seeing is ruining America. I hate this stuff. I hate it with a passion. I hate it viscerally. It's drugs, and it's increasing in America. Hi, welcome to the show. I want to tell you why I hate it. Usually when people talk about drugs, they talk about should it be legalized and how do we treat it. We'll talk about should it be legalized. We'll get to that, I promise you, and certainly there are different opinions, I suspect, in my audience. But I want to talk about first, why do people do it and why I loathe it? Why do people do it? I got some thoughts on that. We actually, could we go to the Chiron? We actually asked some people, Chiron, not Chiron, I don't know lingo, TV lingo. We asked actually people on the street, and we got intelligent responses. Why? Because that to me is the question about everything. Why do people do what they do? Why do people take drugs? These are the responses we got. They were, as they say in the vernacular, right on.
I think people take drugs to escape their problems, probably to make themselves feel better because they can't deal with their own pain inside.
Because they're bored. It got me into a group that was more exciting. Got me to meet more women.
Okay, let me deal with these three. Let me deal with these three things and get some reaction from you folks. The answers that we got here were escape or medicate pain, as the language goes in 12-step programs, which, by the way, I adore. They are the unsung heroes in America. 12-step programs. I want to state that categorically. Number 2, boredom, and number 3, cool crowd. Let me deal with each of them. Medicate pain and escape. Everybody, I'm going to be with you in 1 sec. Don't go away. You won't go away? Okay. Medicating pain is the language that is used in the 12-step program. Let's make something clear. Everyone on earth has pain. Everyone. It is not possible. The moment we are born in this ice-cold, miserable world, so to speak, from what we got to, from what we came from, we start with pain, okay? Parents cause pain, life causes pain, breathing causes pain. Number 2, boredom. People are truly, I am convinced, if people can get high on life, they don't need drugs to get high on. I believe that every fiber in my body. We don't like to say this because we don't like to judge people who take drugs. And I don't know about the issue of judging. I can tell you I believe that there is an inner core of boredom. If you can't get high on love, reading, sex, travel, language, beauty, flowers, music, art, people.
You're just showing a video, and you had flowers, a natural, God-made flower, and you were comparing it with synthesized, refined, manufactured, distilled drugs. And that's a hypocrisy. Right now, our government is sending this flower to 8 people, or 7 people now, for different ailments such as glaucoma, cancer, and so on.
Right, and for that,
I actually received cannabis.
I think it's terrific. I think if you're ailing and that'll help you, that's fine.
To use propaganda and to say that this is wrong, and you
don't think it's wrong? You think drug use is good?
I think that responsibility is a good issue, and we shouldn't put the responsibility in the hands of the legislators.
You think responsible? Wait. If you get into legislation, you're jumping the gun. I want to first talk about whether or not it's ugly or beautiful, whether or not it's a good thing that people take it or not. I'm for legalizing some things that are not healthy. I'm for legalizing prostitution. So I understand that argument, but I'm not going to argue that prostitution makes society a better place to live in. Okay? So I think that the human being has the ability to say this stinks and should be legal. But let's first establish that it stinks, that it is awful.
Spiritually and open up your mind to other things also.
Bull, absolutely. Anyone who can't open up his mind spiritually without an artificial inducement doesn't have a mind to be open. I believe that. It is phony opening. It's a phony opening.
What about Native Americans who've been using the peyote medicine for hundreds of years?
What about them? God bless them. That is their culture. But have you been reading peyote medicines' theses on life recently? With all respect, the culture that you happen to read spirituality in did not use drugs to open them up. Maimonides and Aquinas and Moses didn't use drugs to come up with the guidelines of Western civilization. Be back to you in a minute.
Dennis, I think
this is a very tough crowd. I can't even say it. Hold on.
People need to become emancipated, I think, from this belief that drugs can elevate them to that level of spirituality.
That's correct.
Human beings are born with neurochemicals, neurotransmitters to allow us to achieve that point naturally.
Repeat. That's right. Hold on. No, hold on. What did they tell him to do? Where is my producer? Shut him up. Gee, whizzikers. Hold it. 3 reasons, I repeat. Escape, medicate pain, which you should be able to do through therapy, through religion, through confronting your pain, not through Band-Aids. Yes, it's a Band-Aid. Not when it's medical, but when it's psychological. Taking a drug for pain is like taking Band-Aids for cancer. I'll be right back. Don't go away.
When I started using drugs, I was about 15 years old, and nothing came good from it. It was just like a dead-end road. It leads nowhere.
They're right, and they know. Welcome back. I'm Dennis Prager. We're talking about drugs and why I hate them, to be perfectly honest. My heart goes out to people on it, but I don't condone it. I believe that anyone who uses drugs is wearing a neon sign that says the following: I am bored with life as it is. I need artificial inducements. And B, I have so much pain that I can't deal with it directly. I need to anesthetize myself against it. Now, that's a fact, and I think that if you're contemplating using it, you should be aware of the statements that it's making about you. There is also the issue of peer pressure, which we discussed. I never use drugs, to be personal for a moment, and this is not to say I'm therefore a saint, and if you use it, you're a devil. In fact, if you did use it and you're off it, you're on a higher plateau, in my opinion, than perhaps I am, because you have seen the abyss and taken yourself from it, and I salute you immensely. Anyone who is able to stay sober gets the greatest adulation from me. I think it's a tremendous thing. But too many people are seduced by it. I didn't do it. You know why I didn't do it? It's funny. I think about it because I was in the heyday in the 60s of when it was like a great thing to do. I just had one belief, and it was, I didn't know much about this stuff, but I just knew one thing. God gave me a good brain. Why the hell would I want to tamper with it? I mean, to me, taking a drug is like taking forceps, digging under your skin and manipulating your brain.
There's an area of Dennis, that most people aren't going to identify with. And I think the ones early on did. And that was to have fun. They were curious.
Right.
There was peer pressure.
I agree.
I think that a lot of this is trite, how it's covering a hurt. And that's why I have to use the drug.
It's not.
In my experience as a cop, that isn't how it all started.
Right. It starts because the crowd does it.
Right.
All right. Then it's even worse because then it says you're so weak that even though your brain knows this stuff is going to ruin your life, your desire to be like the majority dominates you.
And you know why? Because of the media. Since the 60s, when you grew up and marijuana was introduced into society, we became moral accommodationists. And ever since then, we've been bombarded with personalities, politicians who have used drugs. They've survived. Some of them have become very famous.
We're bombarded with politicians who've used marijuana. Now, while marijuana is a drug, I put it in a very distinct category from the harder drugs. I don't want marijuana legalized. We're going to come to that in the next segment. But
it's different, but it is
different.
But you cannot separate.
Well, I think people who take marijuana do not lose years of their life like people who take any of the harder drugs.
Well, I tell you, I would dispute that because I've dealt with them. I've dealt with them in family disturbances where I've rolled up on calls and a husband's beating a wife and there's marijuana involved, or a traffic accident.
But isn't alcohol more likely to be involved?
This is the real
Wait, isn't alcohol more likely to be involved in marijuana and beating? See, I think we're making a bad case for anti-drugs if we lump marijuana in with everything else. I think we got to be absolutely crystally clear honest. With people.
You're flying in the face of what we know about gateway drugs starting with tobacco,
I think it's
alcohol,
a gateway.
marijuana.
No, I don't think tobacco is a gateway drug. Okay, anyway.
Tobacco every year. 1 million minors in America are addicted to tobacco in this country every year.
Except that, tobacco...
So 365,000
wait. I'm never talking about the fact that it'll kill you. That's not the argument I'm making. Tobacco does not take away your life. And my biggest... hold on. Wait. Please raise your hand. I'm sorry. I hate to run it like a class, but it's not fair to the others who want to talk. Listen, if we lump, I don't want to lump marijuana in with cocaine, and I don't want to lump tobacco in with marijuana. Churchill smoked cigars. He was able to prosecute World War II. Had the guy been high on joints, the guy could not have prosecuted World War II. Let us not for a second,
Tobacco was 50 times stronger than the processed tobacco used
now.
That's and they did get
high off. If you believe that tobacco affects you like marijuana, we live on different planets. It is so obviously not the case. Yes.
Let's return to the fact that you're talking about your personal opportunities when you're a child. Most people, I would say, estimate 90% of Americans do not get the same opportunities you may have had. Okay? A lot of people are living in situations where there is no end, and the amount of drug use that is used right now is a reflection of how dead end the youth are feeling. And that is what we need to take responsibility for.
The reason I reject that is because the drug popularity started with my generation, all of whom were middle and upper middle class. When I was at Columbia University, there were no poor kids there, and they were all going crazy on recreational drugs. The guy who made it most popular was a professor at Harvard. Drugs usage in America went from upper class to lower class.
If you're wealthy, you take lithium and Prozac. If you're not wealthy, you just take pot and acid, whatever you want. It's basically along those lines. Everybody is using drugs.
Wait.
And
With all respect, it's all nonsense. Prozac has as much in common with cocaine as it does with baseball chewing gum. I mean, my God, I am blown away. Why is all these cliches? Why can't we be honest? You see, you know what I feel is, hi there in television land, welcome back. Let me just tell you something. You know what the problem is? I know this from 13 years of radio. The problem is not that people have different policies, that we could disagree. It's that there isn't even an acknowledgement of the reality of the truth. If tobacco is lumped in with cocaine, the discussion ends. It's so preposterous. It's so untrue. It's a lie. You cannot develop policies on lies, and America is filled with it because people who have agendas say that their agenda is more important than truth. People who fight AIDS make up the heterosexual AIDS scare because they want people scared about AIDS. People who want us to fight for animals make up the lie that if you experiment on animals, it doesn't help people medically. People will lie for their agenda. People want drugs legalized. They lie that drugs are like tobacco. It's a lie. You want to legalize it, but tell the truth. We'll be back.
I started using drugs when I was 12, 13.
My first experience with marijuana at age 11.
I never did drugs.
In college, in junior high.
Good to answer that.
I wouldn't want my kids to start experimenting with drugs at all.
No, I probably wouldn't want them to.
No, I wouldn't want my kids to experiment with drugs.
That's a tough question.
I would say no, I wouldn't want them to experience drugs.
I couldn't be a hypocrite because I've tried it myself.
How many piercings did that lady have? Did you notice that? I'm very close. It's quite irrelevant, but it's a cute line, and I like a little levity. Those of you on marijuana are so high that you don't need any jokes. Anyway, yes. Welcome back, by the way. Now, here we go. By the way, just remember, I can do this to you just as you can do this to me. They gave me one now. Yes.
You made a point about people anesthetizing themselves and using drugs as an escape, and that there are ways to do that and to be high on life and to get highs. I'd like to comment that a lot of people don't seem to have, that it's not an easily available opportunity to be able to lead a recreational life, to participate in sports, to participate in study for personal, just for enjoyment. And
the average American watches television for 6 hours. If they devoted one-third of that to reading,
and I think that
they would have a higher life.
Anything that we're abusing is just as equally bad. I think Americans are abusing television.
They're abusing, right. I agree with you. I think there are a million sorts of drugs.
Different ways.
I think there are, hold on. I think there are a million sorts of drugs. I agree with you. It's just not the topic. I'm talking about these particular drugs. I believe that this medium, you're right. Listen, I think the killing time should be a non-felony crime. Okay?
It is.
All right. It is. It certainly is. Okay. We ask people, because I want to move on to the subject of legalization. We ask people, if in fact drugs were legalized, would you use them? These are some of the responses we received.
If they were legal, the temptation would be much greater to use because, you wouldn't have to suffer the negative consequences of being arrested or being caught.
It would depend what drug it was. Marijuana, probably. Cocaine, no.
If drugs were legal, I would not take drugs.
Right, which is probably a fair sample of America. If you did it, you'd probably 1 out of 3, yes, I would. Another 1 out of 3, yes, I would marijuana, but not others, or so they believe. And 1 out of 3 say, no, I wouldn't at all. Which is, to me, really the issue, the honest argument that people could have on whether it should be legalized. You see, if we don't establish at the outset that they kill you, and I don't mean physically necessarily, though that too on occasion. My argument against drugs is, in addition to anything I said, and then I want to talk about legalization with you folks, is very simply this. I know a lot of people, I have followed this, who have been on drugs. If you start drugs at 15 and you end at 25, let's say, going to rehab, you have literally killed 10 years of your life. You will be a 15-year-old in a 25-year-old body. You are as immature as a 15-year-old at 25. You have lost those years to life. If you're prepared to do that, if you are prepared to wake up one day and be the child that you were when you started, use drugs. That to me is why I love it.
Drugs are illegal, Dennis. Now imagine suddenly if all the taboo is gone.
I agree
and
with
when you go to the 7-Eleven, you can select instead of a Budweiser,
not a
a package of
7-Eleven.
cocaine.
Did you have your hand up? I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you, how do you differentiate between hard drugs and alcohol? Because some of the same effects are there, as far as ruining your life, losing...
I hate alcohol, and frankly, if in fact we now lived in a society where it were banned, I would not be for its legalization. But it would cause such chaos to in fact make it illegal, and in addition to one other thing. In addition, yes, making a black market and so on. But there's one other factor. It is much easier to responsibly have beer, let's say, or wine, or even alcohol, than it is cocaine or heroin. That is the difference. Heroin leads to addiction far more readily than beer and wine do. Much of the world has beer and wine. A very small percent have heroin and do not become addicted. Therefore, there is to me a qualitative difference as much as I recognize the havoc rendered by alcohol.
But they serve as a clear example, especially alcohol, Dennis, why you cannot open up the floodgates and allow all these other drugs out. You let the genie out of the bottle, it's gone. We did it with alcohol.
I'm agreeing with you. Why do you folks in the backfield? Would you like to see it legalized?
I don't understand what you're saying.
All right, we'll come back to you. Yes, go ahead. Yes, please don't call out. Yes.
I'm very concerned. I have 2 young little boys, and I'm very worried. One of them is in 1st grade, and he comes home and what are drugs, Mommy? And I don't want to be able to say they're okay.
That's right, exactly.
I need support.
I'm with you. You need society to support you. Parents don't have that much today. We are fighting society much more than our parents did, and certainly more than our grandparents did. Let me because this is so important to me, I'd like to suggest 3 things to prevent drug use. First of all, if it is to medicate pain, and every human being alive has pain, confront your pain. Confront it. Don't ignore it. This is what is hurting me. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes it is because of parents. Sometimes it might be because of their divorce, or one parent is simply abandoned. It might be because of siblings. It might be because of a trauma from abuse as a child. It might be because you've been picked on by other kids in class. It's endless, the ability to be hurt in life. Confront it. That's what therapy is for. Now, a lot of therapists are not competent. That's a separate subject, but a good therapist can truly help you in life. Number 2, find a purpose. Since boredom is a factor, I know in my own life religion played a seminal role in my own life in keeping me away from this. I had such a strong sense of life's meaning, of having a purpose in my life, that I didn't need the highs that would be artificially induced by drugs. Our secular age is going to be a more drug-using age. There's no question about it. So think about religion in addition to therapy. And finally, with the peer pressure, you parents need to monitor the friends of your kids. Their grades are much less important than their friends. I repeat, your children's grades are less important than your children's friends. I much rather have my child get C's in school with A-plus type human beings for friends than miserable character friends with great grades. Back in a moment. Don't go away. If you plan on being in the Los Angeles area, we'd love for you to be part of our studio audience. So give us a call for free tickets at 213-852-4532. Some audience members may receive Lawn Boy's Gold Series lawnmower. Exclusive features cut the hard work of caring for your lawn, designed to make it easier from Lawn Boy. Hi, welcome back. There was so much, obviously, to talk about this, and I appreciate all of your comments, including those of you that I disagreed with. That's why we want you on the show, is to have the feedback from the other side. I want to make something clear as well, though. As passionately opposed as I am to drugs, I don't believe that drug use is in any way equatable with criminal activity in the sense of hurting another human being. I always draw a distinction between those who rape, those who murder, those who steal, those who burgle on the one hand, and those who use self-destructive things on the other. This is self-destructive. Sometimes it hurts others when you do things to feed the habit, obviously. But in and of itself, it is self-destructive. What our society has to make clear is that it is self-destructive. It ain't fun. It seems like fun. Hey, everything seems like fun. For that matter, criminality probably seems like fun in the beginning, but then it destroys your life. We have to send that message out. I can't take you now because we're just wrapping up, and forgive me, but we'll try to get you on another show. Ladies and gentlemen, think about this, and I hope I've made you think a second time. I'm Dennis Prager, and thanks for watching. Okay, there we go.
Alpine Lace fat-free cheese. No fat, 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 no fat.
From Lee, salon-style press-on nails. Natural underside so real only your manicurist knows. Fashion colors plus extra-strength glue. Lee press-on nails salon-style.
Relief for tender nose. Lee Knows Better Gel relieves outside soreness while aromatic vapors soothe inside. And Knows Better Moisturizing Spray. Lee Knows Better.